An absolutely astonishing Federal Security Service (SVR) report circulating in the Kremlin today is warning that the entire United States government, if not the whole nation, is in danger of collapse should President Donald Trump approve a Department of Justice (DOJ) memorandum calling for the immediate arrest for treason of nearly all of the Democratic Party's DNC top officials, including former President Bill Clinton and his wife Hillary, and not less than 24 Democratic members of the U.S. House of Representatives, all of whom are involved in what can only be described as the largest spy scandal in American history and that this nation's mainstream media has not allowed their citizens to know about. According to this shocking report, the uncovering of this massive Democratic Party spy ring began on the 22nd of March 2016 when the Republican Party chairman of the United States House of Representatives Subcommittee on Legislative Branch House Appropriations Committee, Tom Graves, received an extraordinary letter from 8 U.S. Democratic congressmen demanding that their staff members be given access to America's most tightly held secrets and that, in part, said, as you begin work on the FY 2017 Legislative Branch Appropriations Bill, we request you include adequate funding to the House Office of the Sergeant at Arms to support top-secret sensitive compartmented information security clearance investigations for individual designees from each House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence members' personal staff. The Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence is charged with oversight of the United States intelligence community, including some of the most time-sensitive and complicated information crucial to our nation's national security. However, there has not been funding appropriated to the Office of the Sergeant at Arms to support TS/SCI clearance investigations necessary for personal staff offices to have a designee available to support their member for hearings and markups. One of the most important Democratic congressmen signing this unprecedented demand letter to Chairman Ford to note, this report continues, was Andre Carson, who is the second Muslim in the U.S. Congress and the first Muslim on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence and, more critically, is the ranking member on its Emerging Threats Subcommittee, and who is, also, a member of the Department of Defense Intelligence and Overhead Architecture Subcommittee S. Most notorious about Congressman Carson, to further note, this report details, is his known links to radical Islamic terrorists and as explained by the Front Page magazine news service who stated about him, Carson had inherited his grandmother's seat and exploited it to promote a radical Islamist agenda. He has interfaced with a laundry list of Islamist groups from Qatar to IMNA to ICNA. Timpak Islamists have funded Carson's career to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars. The Center for Security Policy has put together a dossier of Carson's connections to the Muslim Brotherhood. The Brotherhood is the parent organization of many key Islamic terror groups posing a threat to our national security, including Al-Qaeda and Hamas. Andre Carson shared the stage at a care banquet with Siraj Wahhaj, an indicted co-conspirator in the World Trade Center bombing, who had once declared, "You don't get involved in politics because it's the American thing to do, you get involved in politics because politics are a weapon to use in the cause of Islam." Carr itself had been named an unindicted co-conspirator in terror finance. Carson had praised Tariq Ramadan, who had been barred from this country for funding Islamic terrorists, that Obama lifted, and the Muslim politician was a co-sponsor of the Free Syria Act, which attempted to aid Islamist jihadists in Syria linked to the Muslim Brotherhood such as the Free Syrian Army. Fearing that a massive radical Islamic spy ring was being set up within the U.S. Congress, this report continues, Chairman Ford took the extraordinary step of bypassing the Obama regime's Department of Justice to investigate for approval the top-secret clearances being requested by these Democrats, choosing, instead, to appeal directly to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, Director James Comey to begin an urgent investigation into his fears. From the 23rd of March 2016 to the 2nd of February 2017, this report notes, FBI Director Comey's investigation into this massive radical Islamic spy ring's infiltration of the U.S. Congress became the largest in that domestic law enforcement agency's history, and even more stunningly, he refused to share his findings with anyone in the Obama regime, including President Obama, and for the first time in American history, he became the first FBI official in American history to do everything in his power to keep Hillary Clinton from becoming president. 2 days after taking power, the 22nd of January, however, President Trump was fully informed by Director Comey of his investigative findings during a White House visit, and that caused Trump to nearly immediately fire the acting director of the Department of Justice, who was a known Democratic Party operative named Sally Yates. After his firing of Yates, this report further details, President Trump then took the extraordinary step of bypassing his Department of Justice altogether, becoming, in fact, FBI Director Comey's main point of contact authority into the investigation of this massive Islamic spy ring, and that lasted until Trump's pick to be the new Attorney General of the United States, Jeff Sessions, assumed office a week later on the 9th of February. During the week that President Trump was acting as his nation's Attorney General, he ordered FBI Director Comey, on the 2nd of February, to begin law enforcement actions against this massive Islamic spy ring, and that began with the FBI targeting a Pakistani-American U.S. Congress Information Technology (IT) specialist named Imran Awad and his entire family, who were all employed by, at least, 24 Democratic U.S. congressmen and women administration computer systems holding all of America's secrets, and who are all now, also, linked to the death of Navy SEAL William Ryan Owens, radical Islamic spy master Imran Awad. This report explains, first infiltrated the U.S. Congress in January 2004, when he became the Information Technology Director for Democratic Party U.S. Congressman Robert Wexler, and who, also, over these past nearly 13 years, infiltrated into the U.S. Congress his wife, Hina Alvi, and his brothers Abid and Jamal, with Jamal, at just 20 years old, being given by the Democratic Party in the U.S. Congress the outlandish salary of $160,000. Critical to note too about this massive Islamic spy ring, this report says, is that in spite of the FBI's criminal targeting of Imran Awad, Democratic Party U.S. Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz still has him on her payroll, despite his security clearance being revoked, and his wife, Hina Alvi, likewise, is still being employed by Democrat Party U.S. Congressman Gregory Meeks, and despite this massive Islamic spy ring, led by Imran Awad, being paid by the Democratic Party millions of dollars of U.S. taxpayer money over the past decade, while they infiltrated nearly all of computer systems in the U.S. Congress. New reports are emerging that they didn't pay their bills, were involved for years in criminal activity, and owed substantial money to a radical Hezbollah fugitive, and who are now being reported to have received $100,000 from an unnamed and unknowable Iraqi politician while they had administrator-level access to the U.S. House of Representatives' secret and secure computer network. To the main Democratic Party official most responsible for this radical Islamic spy ring's infiltration of the U.S. Congress, this report notes, was the radical leftist U.S. Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who spread these Islamic spies throughout the U.S. Congress as shared employees, meaning they are hired by multiple offices, which split their salaries and used them as needed for computer services, with the linkages of this massive radical Islamic spy network spreading to the top of the Democratic Party leadership, and over 24 Democrat U.S. congressmen and women. This report concludes, these Democratic leftists are even now preparing for their mass arrest by FBI agents loyal to President Trump by showing their power of being able to quickly assemble street mobs, and that once this should happen, would flood America's cities with millions of radicals proclaiming President Trump was creating a dictatorship, therefore leading to the collapse of the United States. A civil war would most certainly ensue.